If you enjoyed the video, like, comment, subscribe. Welcome to the 5th official episode of the Spidey Cast. We're back. It's been 2 weeks. And I need to get way more consistent with this. I say this every time at the beginning of the episodes. But this time I will be, because I actually have video now, like I said last episode. I will get more out consistently. And for today's episode, we're not going to talk about Lego Star Wars 2 DS. I'm sorry, fans of that wonky, wonderful game. I'd rather do that when I get my other set up. It's kind of a set. I'm probably going to be able to... I want it to be able to be taken down. Basically, I'm building a set in my room with a green screen behind me so you can see the gameplay behind me. And I'm going to get like a wireless mic that I bought recently to, talk into it without having to be near the computer and have it wired, because this is wired. So I have to sit here by this desk and I can't really do much. I do like this setup. We're going to use this for non-specific topics. Like if I'm not reviewing a game or giving a retrospective to it, I'm going to sit here. Like if I'm just rambling about games, if I'm doing ramble episodes, you're going to see this. Or if I'm doing episodes where I talk about a movie or a show, something that could be copywritten, I'm just going to have this here. I'm going to be talking more formally. Burp again. I'm going to be talking more formally here. With this background, with this mic, all this stuff, very homey looking. But anywho, with that out of the way, we're going to talk about licensed games. I, Attorney Seth, am coming to the defense of licensed games as a whole from the gaming community, because I grew up with these games, and I don't think they deserve the slander that they're getting. I think that people deserve to respect them a little bit more. But regardless, we're going to first talk about what I did, my gaming history a little bit. So I had the usual games. I had the Mario 64s. I had the Mario Sunshines. I had the Super Mario Worlds. I had the Super Mario Bros. 1 and 2 and 3. I had Zelda's Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask and Twilight Princess and Mario Kart and Mario Kart DS and Mario Kart 64 and Wii and Double Dash and frickin' Mega Man Legends and Mega Man Battle Network. I had a ton of those. I had Nightfire and GoldenEye. Loved those games. Both James Bond games. I had a lot of games. I had Command & Conquer Renegade. I had Command & Conquer Generals and all that. What I'm trying to say is I played a lot of games that were cultural phenomenons. And I have the right to say what I'm saying right now. If I'm getting so confrontational, I'm just saying, like, I have a right to sit here and stick up for these games. So first off, this is my biggest problem with the arguments against them. For me, this was all I had. And that's not me saying it's bad. I had Jimmy Neutron for the PC. I had SpongeBob Battle for Bikini Bottom. I had Marvel Nemesis. I had frickin' Spider-Man 1, 2, and 3. Amazing games. I had all these licensed games. And some of them people trashed. I'm like, I don't get it. I liked them. I'm sorry. Sue me. I played Batman Begins. I thought that was a fun game. All these games I enjoyed. And to see people on the internet slandering them, like I'm not saying it's going to affect my opinion of them, but I would like to come in defense of them because I think people need to give them a chance. So the Jimmy Neutron PC game. That game is the first one I want to talk about. I had so much fun playing it. It has a frickin' hub world where you can wander around Jimmy's neighborhood and you do little quests on it. It's got a little objective thing in the corner that looks like a school notebook that pops up and shows you your objectives. and you're walking around the neighborhood as the music's playing. And it's so calming and relaxing, befitting of a neighborhood. It reminds me of the show. Like, it's a perfect representation of what the show was going for tone-wise. And then you have these guys coming in and saying, oh, you know, the world's too empty. Look at your games now. Breath of the Wild's an empty game. I hate to break it to you, it is. It's empty. It's an empty game. You know, there's not nearly as much content as you'd think there'd be. They're complaining about an empty world in Jimmy Neutron. It's like, dude, have you walked outside in your neighborhood during, like, the morning hours? People aren't going to be there because they're at work. People have lives, or they're doing stuff in their houses. You don't always see people running around the neighborhood all the time, you know, willy-nilly. Some people have lives and don't want to just, like, stand outside. Some people like to stay inside. But it's not that weird to see a neighborhood not be filled with thousands of people running around. In fact, that would get annoying. Believe me, I live in a neighborhood, so I can vouch that it's not always filled with people, you know, running around and having fun. It's nice sometimes when that happens, but sometimes it's nice to not have people running around. So I liked it. I liked the neighborhood being relatively empty. It was nice. It felt like real life, you know, because people have lives, and they don't just walk outside and wave at you all the time. Sometimes they do, and it's nice. Sometimes they don't. They have lives, okay? But I loved walking around the neighborhood. I loved going in Jimmy's house and you know, finding gadgets in there and looking around, wondering where his parents went, and going upstairs and jumping on the beds, and Jimmy's mom's voice like pops in and says, "Don't jump on the bed." The game had a lot of attention to detail. You can see like chalkboards and stuff of like fancy designs for Jimmy's inventions. You go to the lab underground. Below that, it has the secret entrance where he goes in, and Vox tells him, you know, his AI assistant, that he can go down there. And it says DNA match confirmed, just like in the show when he would go down into his lab. And the lab has relaxing music too. And you can see the telephone booth that he's trying to use to get to the moon. That's the plot. Basically, he's trying to win the science fair by going to the moon. The most extreme thing ever. And if a kid could do that, Jimmy should be in NASA, basically. He shouldn't be in regular school. I understand some of those episodes tackled it, but I don't think he should be in regular school. I think he should be in like NASA or something if he can go to space that easily. You know, down there you can capture creatures in the overworld and bring them down to the lab. That's like a side objective. This game is a completionist's, like, it's way up. It's literally built for completionists. You know, it's right up their alley because, and that's what I was trying to say to phrase it better. It's up their alley because there are so many optional objectives. There's a whole list of collectibles that you can get from like just purple flurp and candy and all that, like special items you can get. And once you fill the list out, obviously it doesn't do anything, but you know, the list gets complete. I know completionists don't care about special cutscenes or anything. They just like completing games for the heck of it. What else? You also can hit balloons with like a baseball gadget. There's like dozens of gadgets. You have the frickin'... But atmospherically, I think atmosphere is the most important thing to me. You know, you have Jimmy's school, which is empty, and there's no music, depending on which door you go through. Weirdly enough, the music changes depending on which door you go through in the school, believe it or not. Fun fact, if anyone asked. It's cool being able to go to a school and walk around. I like it being quiet. It's more realistic. You don't need music blaring all the time when you're walking around an area. Sometimes it's nice to just take in what's going on around you. And there's secrets there too. There's secret rooms where you can get more neutrons. Another thing completionists would probably want to do is get neutrons, like every neutron in the game. It's fun. And you race Nick in the school and beat him, and then you beat him outside by a dirt track that he made, essentially, that he kind of planned out by the school, and you race him on your scooter to get back a part that Jimmy needs for his Area 51 map. It's actually his Area 51 map. I thought it was for a part for his science fair project, but no, it was an Area 51 map. Then you go to Area 51. You leave the school area. You go to Area 51. But in the school, there's like a baseball diamond and all that. And, there's a baseball diamond, and there's a giant creature, like dinosaur thing, chasing the school bus that's going around the school as the kids are screaming. And you can take that back to your lab. It's a cool optional objective you can do. And when you leave there, you go to Area 51. And Area 51 has the best music in the game, in my opinion. It's the best track in the game. Because it comes out of left field. It's kind of eerie, in a way. And I may play it in the background, because copyright with this game is kind of... AWE Games doesn't even exist. Jimmy Neutron's dead, too, so I may not even worry about it. Oh, got gas again. Burping again. But regardless, Area 51's very eerie. It's like a canyon. It reminds me of a Halo 1 level. It's like this flat canyon with a bunch of, like pillars of rock that you can go on top of if you get the rocket later. And there's cops driving around, and if they catch you, they say, "No civilians allowed here. Time to go home, little man." And they kick you back to the phone booth area. And but you have to get past those guys. And there's like a small little, I guess it's like a small really small convenience store shack looking thing that you can get purple Flurp and candy from. It's kind of cool, There's a lot of atmosphere here, It's like an abandoned shack. And you're walking around. There's no sight. There's no one to be seen. You can hear a laser cannon going off in the background because of the Yokians. They have like a laser thing up there. It shoots you when you're in your rocket, but you're going down, through the lower, what am I saying? Through the lower sections of these like caverns, and you find Jimmy's invisibility part, which somehow which somehow has something to do with him going to the moon. He's like, "Oh, this will get me one step closer to going to outer space." I don't know how invisibility helps with going to outer space, but whatever. Maybe he wants to hide from the aliens that try to kidnap him mercilessly. That could be the reason. But he gets kidnapped by the Yokians as he grabs the part. And you get trapped in the Yokian ship, and it's creepy. You have like a Silent Hilly sounding droning atmosphere in the background as you're sneaking past these Yokians saying "intruder alert" repeatedly. And it's a little eerie. For a kid's game, it reminds me of Halo 1. You're going up into this ship, you're in this desert area trying to accomplish some massive goal that serves the plot. You get kidnapped by the aliens, though in Halo's case, you're just going to the aliens. You're just going there, and you want to get into the ship. But what I liked about this is it's not about that. You get kidnapped. Exactly. You walk around the ship. It's got a really cool, obviously a sci-fi atmosphere. Gray walls, gray floor, very eerie looking. You're walking around, angular design in terms of the way the ship is made. And you're walking through these hallways, past these test tubes with green goo in them, and then you finally make it past the guards, through these closing doors that you have to get through before they close. And then if you get caught, you get sent back to the prison cell. They don't kill you, which realistically the aliens would kill you if this was actually a realistic movie. I also noticed my camera's doing some weird focus stuff, but whatever. You get out of there. You finally get out of the Yokian ship, and you blast off through an escape pod. There's a gadget you can completely miss. The bubble gadget from the the movie that bounced Jimmy around in the intro of the first movie is in this, but you can completely miss that. So the first gadget you see in the actual movie, the first invention that Jimmy's ever made, you can just miss. And believe me, I've missed it before. And you have to reload your save. You can't just do a New Game Plus thing, which is unfortunate, but whatever. What else? I mean, you don't get to keep the gadgets, which is a little annoying, but you could probably mod that in. But you go through the escape pod back down to Area 51, and you land on the one of the stone pillars, and you go down, you go home, help Jimmy's mom, go find the dad who's left. You get a wrench first from the tool chest, and then you get Goddard's remote, which is a really fun gadget, basically. And this gadget can essentially remote control Goddard. You know, you can move him around in a slightly first-person view. You can see his head. It's an interesting perspective. I'd have to show you. It's kind of first-person. And you're walking around. It's cool. He can fly infinitely with his little helicopter thing. And you can go through small spaces and get more unlockable things. I'm sure there's more to the game I haven't even experienced, but it's fun. And then after that, he goes to downtown. And downtown's cool. You know, it's a small section of Retroville, you know, the town, the city. And there's a grapple hook gadget you get here from Cindy, and you kind of grapple around, and you can use the grappling hook to get on buildings and get more collectibles and find more neutrons. And I think it's cool. I think it's a cool game because... Ooh, definitely cutting that out. But it's cool because the game's, you know, there's so much stuff to do in this game. They give you gadgets and the gadgets usually affect every area you're in. Usually you're using a gadget if there's a new area. I know that sounds like obvious stuff, but some games will give you pointless items. Frickin' shock gloves in Arkham Origins. As much as I like those, the game wouldn't change that much, minus a couple small story beats if the shock gloves weren't in it. And then you find Jimmy's dad, though, in the sorry, my allergies are acting up a lot. You find Jimmy's dad in the candy bar, has some fun, catchy music. He's like dancing around for some reason. And I'm surprised that hasn't become a meme, to be honest. It's hilarious. Like seeing Jimmy's dad just randomly dance around like a weirdo. Like every 5 steps, he just starts dancing. Except his dance moves are terrible and the music's really good. And then he goes, you know, learning that he's going to come home for dinner at some point and all that jazz. And then he leaves with the remote control. He goes back to the neighborhood, and the time of day changes as you get further in the game. It's not a dynamic thing, but I'm glad they have it at all. And the afternoon sky looks cool to me. You can kind of see the beautiful sunset as you're walking through Jimmy's neighborhood, and then you go over to Sheen, and you're looking for a missing part, basically. And, well, first you go... I'm skipping a little bit. First you go to the school again because Cindy tells you Carl has a part that you need for the science fair thing. You go over there with the inhaler because she gives you an inhaler because he lost it. Rare, nice moment for Cindy. So he gives her the... he gives him the inhaler. What am I saying? My brain is blanking. He gives him the inhaler, and then you leave because Carl tells you Sheen has the part. So you're walking through the beautiful sunset. As you're going over to Sheen, he tells you he threw it down into the sewers downtown. So you have to go all the way to downtown, which isn't that far. But thinking about it from Jimmy's perspective, it's like, dude, what the heck? Why would you throw a computer chip that you just found down the freaking sewers. So basically, he makes him a deal. He'll tell him where it is before he tells him it's downtown. If he can get an Ultra Lord autograph. And if you're into the lore of the show, Ultra Lord's kind of a generic Superman figure or Batman figure, more like. So after that, you leave, and then you go to the sewers and you use Goddard. And the sewers are cool too. They're very quiet. I love how quiet they are, atmospheric. There's like a bit of a Resident Evil-ish look to the place. It's a little spooky, the sewers. I think you can hear like sewer drips. I don't know if that's a cut element of it, but I thought it was. But you go down with Goddard into like these small holes, and you sneak through there. Like you have to get down to the computer part, so Goddard goes through this tube thing that has a small hole that Jimmy can't fit through. And he goes and gets the through the sewer pipes. And he gets, you go through this little obstacle course where you fly up with the Goddard helicopter thing on his head. And you make it to the computer chip, and then you go out. You come back. Also, Goddard talks before this happens. Like, he speaks, like, intelligible English by Sheen's voice actor. I kind of liked it. I thought it was funny. Oh gosh, I'm burping so much. But what I'll say is, you go through there, you get the computer chip, Goddard leaves. It's funny, he talks, he comes back to you. You leave the creepy sewers, you go to Retroville. You go up to Ultra Lord, you get the autograph. He tells you about the rocket, I'm pretty sure. Because, that doesn't happen yet. So he talks to Ultra Lord. He gets the ticket. Not the ticket. You go to Retroland, which is amazing. Retroland is awesome. It's literally a carnival where you can go around, play games with your gadgets like the baseball, and shoot these things and get like higher scores. You can ride the rides. You can ride the Mummy ride. Show me the Mummy ride here. Ride the Dizzy ride here. Like lines that will stick with me for the rest of my life. Like randomly there's people in the background. It's just Rob Paulson, Carl, going, hey man, maybe you will puke. Like he's saying iconic lines that live with me. If you played the game, you know what I'm talking about. But regardless, what I'm telling you is after this, Jimmy, you can't, I don't think you can ride a Ferris wheel, which is annoying. He says it's too boring. You can ride this ship thing that goes up and down. Like there's a ton of rides you can go on. There's this spinning cup thing, which in my opinion is more boring than a freaking Ferris wheel. There's a scary ride from the movie that you can't go into, which has like the skull face on it. Wish I could. Probably would have thought there was something back there. But the devs couldn't add all that stuff. But all I'm saying is Retroland's amazing. It's an awesome part of the game. And the game's not that long. I'd recommend you play it. It's not a long game. But regardless, and you could get a disc off eBay if you're not into going like My Abandonware. I probably won't even say the name of the site. I'll probably bleep it out. Because I don't want to get in trouble. But regardless, you go into the you go through the door, you go over to these other rides, and Carl's over there. Actually, I think the inhaler was given to you by Sheen. I was completely out of events. Basically, you go over to Carl and you give him the inhaler at Retroland. And then he gets kidnapped by the Yokians. And then Cindy gets kidnapped. And then Jimmy says women, like he's frustrated with her. And I thought that was probably the best line in the game. Because Cindy can be annoying sometimes. But regardless, Jimmy's on a quest. So he goes over to Ultra Lord and says, hey, I need to get a rocket so I can get my friends back. So He tells him you got to get plutonium if you want to fly it out of Retroville. So he goes over to his school and gets a access pass thing that Cindy had to not Cindy. He gets this key from Libby, I think, and then he goes over to school, opens the door, and it's nighttime at this point. It's a little bit eerie because everything's quiet. And he heads over to the school, opens up this door, and gets this pass key for, going into a nuclear power plant. Like, how does Miss Fowl, their teacher, have the keys to a nuclear power plant? Why would they tour a school at a nuclear power plant? Like, seems kind of risky. But regardless, he gets the key, he goes there, Miss Fowl's there, has the same voice actor as the show. Behind the voice actors lists it incorrectly, so they're wrong. It's the same voice actor. He goes into the power plant, which is a bit of a platforming challenge. As a kid, it was like the most difficult thing ever, but as an adult, the not being able to use the jetpacks, because you have a jetpack you can fly around in. Not being able to use a jetpack is a little bit interesting, but I get it. I mean, it's supposed to be a challenge, and the grapple hook's a little bit finicky, but it's a pretty easy platforming challenge. You have to push these buttons to open these doors and get to this. It's been a while. Get to this. You have to stop it from exploding, basically. And once you get to the end of that, you leave and you get a music track that's epic sounding, but what's weird about it is it's like heroic sounding, but you hear it for one portion of the game. Like one section of the game, you hear this song. Also, Goddard talks at the beginning of the power plant platforming segment, which is funny. So you use the keys, I think, to turn off the reactor. I'm assuming that's what happens from what I remember. And then you leave there and that music plays once, and then you leave. And then you go to Area 51. You go to Area 51 and you fly in Jimmy's rocket, and then you essentially, you get in Jimmy's rocket, which the rocket is easily the best gadget in the entire game. I'm not kidding. It is easily, the scooter's fun because you can race around, but the rocket, you can fly anywhere. Every one of those areas I talked about, you can fly around. Every single one of them. There's no restrictions except indoor areas. So you can fly around the school and go to the top of the roof. You can fly around Area 51, which is a blast, by the way. Kind of reminds me of how I used to just go into multiplayer maps when I was young and fly Banshees around just for the heck of it. I'm glad that mods exist for Halo. I was talking about Halo, by the way, when it comes to the Banshees. But I'm glad mods exist for Halo. I'll never have to do that again because I can actually have single-player missions that give me a purpose. So I'm not just playing multiplayer levels when I'm not in the mood to play campaign, which is very rare. But and I want something new instead of just the regular campaign missions. And they're still amazing. I love Halo's campaigns. I could play them endlessly, but it is cool to have mods. But regardless, flying the rocket around is probably the coolest thing ever. It's so cool. I'm not kidding. I love it. Can't get enough of it, people. Can't get enough of it. I think people grossly underrate this game. Area 51's eerie. The music's amazing. You get, but we'll finish off the story pretty quickly. You fly through these catacombs to get to the Yokian ship. You're like pursuing the ship so you can save Cindy and Carl. The stakes are pretty high. So you fly over there, you're dodging bullets from the Yokians. It looks like something out of Command & Conquer Renegade with all the green like crystals and stuff. From what I remember, that was an amazing game, but you finally catch up with the ship. You do one final sneaking segment, in like a different area of the ship, like the main control ship, and you sneak around and you get to the villain finally. And what's cool about the villain is he's not the guy from the movie that was voiced by Patrick Stewart. He's a new character. He's just called the Yokian Commander, and he's actually a serious character. It's funny. It's like a comedy game, but he's kind of like a Darth Vader knockoff. He even brings up a rebel base at the beginning. Like, they were definitely Star Wars fans, and any love you can give to Star Wars is, in my opinion, amazing. At least the first 6 movies and all the expanded universe stuff. But so he threatens to shrink the guy. The guy releases his friends. Jimmy leaves, and there's a sequel tease. He's like, oh, I'll get you again. This isn't the last time you've seen me, Jimmy Neutron, because he shrinks some of the Yokians. Because you have a shrink ray you can use on enemies. If I haven't already brought it up. But I think my favorite part of the game is not only the story, but the atmosphere. I mean, Area 51's eerie. It's like something out of Iconic Canyon from Majora's Mask. Like, it's this desertish area that's flat. There's no ghosts or anything, but something about it gives me similar like feelings. It's the color of the sky, the color of the area. It all feels like it is definitely spooky. Area 51's spooky. The ships are creepy. The sewers are creepy. Like, it's weird. Weirdly enough, there's a lot of creepy aspects to this game, unintentionally, I'm sure, but there's some eeriness to it. Not the emptiness of the world. That's not what made it eerie. In fact, in some ways, with that game, it made it better. I don't care about talking to random NPCs or seeing NPCs walk around. It's the same with the Kingdom Hearts games. I don't care about having more characters on screen. Why aren't the worlds filled with people? It's like, there were people. Did you play Kingdom Hearts 2? Did you go through Twilight Town? Did you go through the Mulan world? I understand in the Hercules world, there's nothing there in Agrabah, but who cares? People are just want to hate. But the Jimmy Neutron game, in my opinion, is a masterpiece. I love it. I don't care what people say about it. It's my childhood. If you don't like it, that's fine. But I liked it. I think it's better than Breath of the Wild. I think it's better than Tears of the Kingdom and almost any modern open world game. I think it's worlds better than MGS5. And I actually like that game. But regardless of that. Anywho, that was a tangent there. I liked the Jimmy Neutron game. Okay? I liked it. I thought it was fun. I liked the story. I liked the gameplay. I liked the atmosphere. I think it really I like the hub. I like the atmosphere. The music's amazing. Area 51 music's creepy. It sounds great. The neighborhood theme's amazing. Every music track in that game is so warm, fuzzy, and nostalgic for me. Even the inside of Jimmy Neutron's house. People are like, dude, this music sounds terrible. It's not even music. Listen to Breath of the Wild. That game's music isn't music. It's abstract garbage. Okay? Stop. Don't pretend that your game has higher quality or they're not similar. Same with indie games. It's like, dude, they're the same as this. You just don't like this game because popular YouTuber number 55,000 said it. That's the only reason. That is part of the only reason. Like, look at frickin' Spider-Man. Spider-Man 3 is amazing. I like Spider-Man 3. I like the story. I like that Kingpin and Scorpion and frickin' Venom and Kraven. You get Kingpin, you get Scorpion, you get Venom. Well, not Venom. Venom's a part of the story already. But you get Kingpin, you get Scorpion, you get Kraven, you get Rhino. Like, you get all these villains in Spider-Man 3, the game. I honestly, here's a hot take. I think Spider-Man 3, the game, is better than Spider-Man 2. Having recently played it, it's better. I'm sorry. I think it's better. The opening is so cool. You stop some terrorists from bombing a building, and then you get in there. And I'm talking about the main version. I talked about the PS2 version in a video on my main channel. I'm talking about the 360 and PS3, the next gen version. I've been playing a mod with that Raimi hook, which basically brings the frame rate to like 60 FPS, and it's amazing. It's some of the best. I'm not kidding. It's some of the best gaming I'll ever do. Spider-Man 3 is so good. I love the story. I love the side villains. I love the game. The combat is a blast. I was judging the console version's combat. The combos are so fun to pull off. They're so fun to pull off. Seriously. You feel powerful when you're pulling off some of these combos in fricking Spider-Man 3, the game. From 2007, by the way, because someday Insomniac's going to release their garbage sequel to their garbage game, Marvel Spider-Man 2. No one cares. Sorry, fans. Sorry, fanboys. I don't like Marvel Spider-Man. The first game's fun, but the combat's terrible. I think it's awful. It's a crappy, watered-down version of Arkham. When I play as Spider-Man, I want to feel powerful. You get spider reflexes in this, but what's nice about it is you're not just slowing down time. This is your dodge button. It does slow down time, but it also makes you dodge. It allows you to hit enemies that are faster than you. The combos are super fun to pull off. People are like, dude, the combat's sluggish and not that good. Dude, the combos are amazing. The boss fights, in my opinion, are some of the best boss fights in any superhero game. Fight me, Insomniac fans. I think Spider-Man 3's bosses are amazing. The QuickTime events look awesome. They're so slick. Oh my gosh. They're better looking than 90% of... The funny part is, I think it's better than most of the movie's choreography. These QuickTime events in this Spider-Man 3 game. They're so good. They're so good. Tobey Maguire's voice acting, love it. He sounds like he's having a blast voicing this character. People are like, oh, he sounds bored. Maybe in a couple lines, but maybe they took the wrong takes because some of them, he sounds like he's having a blast. A little bit more in the PS2 version, he does. But I still think he does a phenomenal job in this. You get a New Goblin boss fight where you're on the glider and you're like punching Harry in the face as you're doing like QTEs and like dodging him and grabbing him, punching him, and then smacking his head down onto your knee. All this stuff is so cool. You're freaking impaling Venom on a spike at the end of the game, and Spider-Man fails to save him. The black suit is amazing in this. It's so good. It's probably one of the best black suits I've ever played, if not the best. I think I'd say it ties with Web of Shadows' black suit, because when you get into rage mode, your attacks are quicker. You can get super moves out faster. I think he swings faster than red-suited Spider-Man, black-suited Spider-Man in the game. His missions are great. The freaking lizard, the lizard's in it. I forgot the lizard. Dr. Connor's lizard arc is adapted into this. It's super fun. Before Amazing Spider-Man. Yes, folks, lizard existed before Amazing Spider-Man. Some people knew that. Some people didn't. The normies didn't know that. Basically, you go down in the sewers and there's a bunch of creepy, lizards are eating each other. These are people eating each other. It's really creepy. And you're beating the crap out of them to get to lizard. You're webbing through the tunnels. Arkham Knight stole this drill segment where these drills come after you. Spider-Man 3 did that first, and you have to avoid this massive drill. So Arkham Knight stole from it. And it didn't get any... Spider-Man 3 didn't get any credit because people just love bashing licensed games. Scorpion's boss fight is amazing. It continues the arc from Spider-Man 1, where he's running away from Oscorp. Except for some reason they replaced them with Mecha Biocon. And Spider-Man's like, oh, I've heard of them before. No, you haven't, Spider-Man. No, you haven't, Peter. They just added them because they didn't want to use Oscorp for some reason, which I would have just used Oscorp again. But you can't throw back to nostalgia, not with these games. But the boss fight with Scorpion's fun. He's a tortured character. You have to chase Scorpion around New York and get to these like control towers that are mind controlling him to kill Spider-Man. And you're basically, you have to use his tail to shoot the towers up in the sky. And then once you've done that, he's like, oh, well, you better hurry up or I'm going to try to get revenge on this person. Don't take too long. And Spidey's like, just go lay low. They'll know if we hit them now. They'll expect us, Mecha Biocon, if we try to attack them now to get your girlfriend back, your main squeeze, because that's what Scorpion's upset about. He's not upset about... He is upset about being made a freak, but it's really about Jessica. She's the love interest of him. But Lizard... you have an awesome boss fight with Lizard, because I skipped ahead a little bit, where you smack him onto these grinders. Like, you have to dodge him and, like, push him up because he tries to tackle you. You have to push his head up and make him smack his head into these grinder things. They're on these conveyor belts. And he can do it to you, too. So you have to, like, hold that dodge button down, and he'll leap up, and then you grab him and smack his head into the grinders. And then you finally beat the tar out of him, do a quick time event to jump from this platform to this platform to this platform. And then you get up and then you web these two wheel handle things that are attached to this waterway thing that goes down. It like stores water. It's like a sewer area. You're in the sewers as you're doing this. You're fighting at the heart of them, and there's like weird like infected tendril things on the walls, and there's cocoons where people pop out of, like lizards. It's weird, man. They cocoon them and infect them. It's pretty cool. It's kind of like the Alien movies. Kind of like the Alien series. It's nice. It's creepy. Dr. Connors is like, his voice acting's good as the Lizard and as regular Dr. Connors. Voice actor from Adventures in Odyssey, I believe. Christian show. I would recommend you listen to it, but anywho, and it's not heavy-handed. It just, it tells you biblical stuff, but it tells you in a way that, is exciting. But anywho, regardless of that, his name's Nathan Carlson. That's the voice actor. Bang up job, dude. You did amazing. I didn't care that they didn't get the movie voice for Doc Connors. So after that, you get infected by the black suit, and you get the classic scene with frickin' Sandman, and you beat him up in the area. And the quick time events are so cool. You're like kicking him off of platforms. You're slamming his head into the train. Like, Spider-Man sounds angry. He's extremely angry at him. You can feel it, and you can only attack him with rage mode and stuff, so you just do the slam attack repeatedly. The game's not that hard. Once you learn the combos, if you actually take the time and just spam rage mode combos too, you could do that too. It's not that hard of a combat system. People overrated the difficulty of this game. I think it might be one of the easiest Spider-Man games I've ever played, actually. Spider-Man 3, especially the 360 version and the PS2 one. They're both extremely easy, is what I'm trying to say. I was only killed once by Kingpin, and that's it. He was not that hard. It's not that difficult. That's all I'm saying. But, I finally... It's an underrated game, okay? I think it's underrated. After that, you go fight, you ruin Eddie Brock's day by stealing cameras because he's trying to fake a picture of Spider-Man to get the one-up on Peter. So he's got like his fat friend posing in a Spider-Man suit. And it's the most out-of-left-field thing in the entire game. I think in the beta, he wasn't fat-looking. And I honestly would have preferred that. I don't get the fat friend being there. It's funny, like I get it for comedy, but how did Brock even think that he would have been able to pass that off as Spider-Man, his fat friend with his gut hanging out. Stupid. But Spider-Man punches him in the jaw, takes his camera. Apparently, Eddie was going to use that to take pictures of Spider-Man automatically because he set up a bunch of cameras to auto take pictures. But Spidey takes all the cameras, and Brock's like, I'll get some dirt on you someday. And he does when he's Venom. And then you have Dr. Connors come back, and you're going back down there to see, because they kind of left the lizard thing at a cliffhanger last mission. Because Connors escapes through this sewer hole, this drain pipe. So you have to follow him down there. It needed to be cleared up. There's a bunch of water in there, so Peter couldn't follow him. But you see a bunch of corpses of, like, dead lizards all over. Because previously you see a Kraven tease after the Sandman fights. You're like, oh, Kraven did this. This might be the best mission in the entire game, other than the Kingpin one. But you go down through this drain pipe, and you have to fight these guys. And the sewer is as creepy as always. You got them, like, crawling out of holes in the wall, like lizards coming out. You have to cover the holes up by pushing these massive trains, because the black suit's freaking strong. I mean, he can stop a train even without it, but he makes it effortless in this. Look effortless with the suit on. So he pushes them in front of the holes, then he beats up the lizards in this creepy abandoned subway area. And then you go through the hole in the wall, and there's a section you go to. You're like webbing through the sewer tunnels, and there's pipes in front of you. I think there's quick time events you have to do to get past the pipes in a cool scene. And then you finally make it to a point where Kraven tries to flood this long room, like this service tunnel that goes up. And you have to get to the top of it by using quick time events, and you're smacking lizards, like jumping on top of them. That was a fart too. Gotta stop. But you're jumping from lizard to lizard, killing them as you're getting to the top of this water area. And when you get up there, you get into a Kraven fight, the Kraven boss fight. Like, Kraven finally fights you. Well, before he does, I think you climb through these. You climb up these tunnel areas, because there's he put electrified water underneath there. So you have to go through these electrified, there's electrified water on the ground, so you have to web down. So you have to kind of web like a pendulum upside down, you know, how he does the classic Spidey pose when he's like upside down holding his web line. And you have to go slowly down like a pendulum. And then you have to pull the switches, and then the gates will open up that are locked. And as you do that one by one, the eerie music's playing in the background. And then you finally make it to Kraven's area, and you fight him in a little fist fight. He's a good boss. Kraven's fun. He uses different potions to become like a bear. He becomes a bird, like he flies up. He becomes a jaguar. And they all have different abilities, and you kind of have to contend with that. I just rage mode him, and then just keep repeatedly using the same combo. XXXY, that's your best combo in the game. As the black suit Spider-Man, it rips through bosses. Like, it shreds through their health. The Annihilator, that's what it's called. If you're playing that game and you get to the black suit part, use the Annihilator. And as the red suit, use the stair step move. That's the best. Those are the best moves in the game. The regular combos, at least. You can use Earthshaker to get health down pretty quick, too. There's another one you can do, too. If you hit right bumper and A, Spider-Man webs people up, and he punches them, and that's the most overpowered move in the game. So right bumper A or R1X if you're PlayStation, which PlayStation 3 is not that good. Hot take. I don't know if it's a hot take, but I could talk about Spider-Man 3. I guess I'll go through the bosses. I mean, I already started on this. And then I might give some closing thoughts. I only talked about 2 licensed games, but they're so good. Seriously, the web swinging in Spider-Man 3 is amazing. The combat's amazing. All that stuff. But Spidey beats Kraven. Kraven runs away, and then you find him again, and there's like a whole moral dilemma of, oh, Spider-Man beats up these creatures to get to Kraven. So he's just like Kraven. He's like, oh, we couldn't be more different, Kraven. And Kraven's like, oh, you strike these creatures down to get to me. And it's like, there's a bit of a moral dilemma. And I'll probably talk more about this game in detail when I get my set. Oh, ouch. I think there's a zit on my head. Ow. That hurt a lot. But, anywho, he gets to Kraven and finds him, climbing up the walls to this area. And this metal door thing gets opened up, and Spidey goes up, and Calypso, his love interest, Kraven's love interest, he meets her, and he sees her, and she would have been a boss. All this stuff was cut from Spider-Man 2, but I think it's better in Spider-Man 3, to be honest. I'm glad it was cut. People mourn the fact that it was in Spider-Man 3, the lizard story, but I honestly think it's better here, to be honest. I said honest twice. But we also after frickin' Kraven starts using camouflage, and Spider-Man's insulting him, saying why are you hiding with this camouflage, huh? You scared of me? Too scared to fight, coward? Like, Black Suit Spider-Man's he's at his best in this game. I love Black Suit Spider-Man's lines in this game. They're so good. Same within when he's fighting bad guys, they're good. In Spider-Man 3 for PS2. Okay. So he beats Kraven finally because he keeps putting henchmen out there, and sometimes you'll enter a quick time event where Kraven tries to stab you and you gotta shove him off. It's really cool. It's really dynamic. Once you beat him and dodge him and keep using Annihilator, just spam Annihilator if you don't have enough rage mode on him. Like, just keep holding down the dodge button and doing the Annihilator move, because at some point he will die. And then just hit RBA if you see him and your rage mode's up. But once you're done with that, I need some water. My throat is dry. Once you're done with that, you fight Mega Lizard, because Calypso mutates the lizard in this version. She uses her magic, and then she disappears. I'm assuming there was going to be a boss fight with her, but they were cut for time because they were going to have a Calypso boss fight in Spider-Man 2. I think you can fight the unused boss and the unused lizard stuff and like some special unlockable. I've never done it. It'd be fun to show off on the podcast. I may do that at some point. Talk a little bit about the cut content of Spider-Man games. That'd be a blast of an episode. But Mega Lizard's a giant version of the lizard, and he's a tough boss. He's a tough boss, but he's cool. The music is amazing. You're fighting this massive guy in this like power plant like area, or like a electrical area where you have generators around him. You have generators around him, and basically you have to you essentially have to throw him into generators. You have to grab him. You have to hold down the dodge button, web his eyes with a quick time event, and then get behind him and then throw him into the generators. And it's tough. The PS2 version's a little bit more finicky than this. It's actually not too hard. Like, once you get everything down, it had been a while since I fought him. But after you throw him into all the generators, you then do this extremely over-the-top thing where you web 2 corners of this like glass window, and then you're pulling back with like the control sticks like this. You're going like this, and then you finally like launch into him, and then he hits this electrical box thing, and then Spider-Man thinks he's killed him, and then finally Dr. Connors is back to normal and he's okay. But Spider-Man starts looking at his hands like, what's happening to me? Like, why am I acting this way? Like, why is the suit affecting me in this capacity? It's like, it's interesting. They kind of finally show some doubts with the new suit that he has, since he was constantly talking about how amazing it was before. But after that, we go to the most exciting arc, in my opinion. This is easily, we fight a gang leader. The gang leaders are fun. I'd love to talk about them, but I'll save that for another video. Because these are iconic characters. The Lizard's iconic. Like, Spider-Man has iconic villains. What else? So, all these gang leaders have been fought throughout the game. Like, you fight 4 of them. I think you fight 3 of them as Red Suit Spider-Man and 1 as actually 2 as it's 2 Red Suit, 2 as Red Suit, 2 as Black Suit. Apocalypse is one of them. Stereotypical punks that have mohawks. Arsenic Candies are just Harley Quinn knockoffs with umbrellas. You fight the Apocalypse as Red Suit, and you fight because there's Mad Bomber. You fight the Mad Bomber as Red Suit Spider-Man, Luke Carlisle, an actual comic book character, very minor character, but they gave him a actual primary role, which is pretty cool. Then you fight Dragon. So then you fight Dragon Tail, and because they're like ninjas, basically. I thought of the show Dragon Tales as a kid when I heard the Order of the Dragon Tail. They're like ninjas that are looking for gold and statues and stuff. They have an actual plausible goal. The Arsenic Candies just want to like mess around, and the main lady wants to get married, like force a guy to marry her. But the second thing that happens, you also have what other bosses do you fight? What other gang leaders do you fight before I end this? What other? So there's Apocalypse, Arsenic Candy, Dragon Tail. Okay, that's basically it. So you fight the Arsenic Candies and the Dragon Tails as Black Suited Spider-Man. And they're great boss fights. Great boss fights. I think they're very unique. But we're not going to get into those because we don't have much time. I don't want to go way over an hour. If I was going to do that, I would do it in front of the green screen. I'd rather do that. And be able to show you guys what they look like. But we are moving on to Kingpin. This guy is amazing. So Spider-Man's kind of acting stupid, and the Daily Bugle, like, what's funny is he's like getting extremely overtly flirty with Betty in the game, and she's like, I'm not interested. And but in the movies, she's like totally into him, which I thought was pretty funny. It's kind of a contrast, and then he's like, bullying Jameson and all that. You can tell the suit is affecting him now. He's acting kind of like a tool bag. And then he goes over to see the gang leaders. There's like a conference going on that Jonah wants him to go take pictures of. So he goes over there to see his handiwork that he did from earlier in the game. It's kind of a cool moment. It's like, you worked really hard to get to this point. Crime's going to be stopped in New York. So you have to take a picture of the meeting and then you're out. And I forgot to mention, you have actual photo missions in this game. Like, you actually whoop a camera out and take pictures. I think it's way cooler than the Spider-Man 2 photo missions, where you just walk up to icons and push a button. Like, you actually have to pull a camera out. There's side missions too, actual photography side missions, where you have to take actual pictures of things. Like, you're not just jumping to icons. I think Spider-Man 2's Bugle side missions are terrible in comparison. But so you're at this courthouse area, and you're kind of dealing with you're basically dealing with you're essentially dealing with your handiwork, like you're seeing your hard work. And then you walk out, and you see Wilson Fisk himself, the kingpin, the fattest man in town, the king of crime. The kingpin of crime. The king of crime. The kingpin of crime, because his name's Kingpin. And if you try to walk up to him, you have to get a shot for him for the bugle. That's like an objective. Spider-Man's like, oh, I might as well take a shot of him, since Wilson Fisk is for some reason here. The fact that he can't connect 2 and 2 as to why, like, he can't connect 2 and 2 as to why Wilson Fisk would be there, at a freaking an area where, like, the police are being like, dude, we've arrested all the gang members. Spider-Man's finally put him in custody. Obviously, he's going to break him out. But you take a picture before he does the deed, because he's hanging out with gang members like Dragon Tail and Arsenic Candy and Apocalypse people. And Spider-Man doesn't recognize that these people all look like gang members. He's like, it's kind of a seedy crowd that he's with. It's like, well, they're gang members of the gangs that you put in jail. So the gang leaders. So the gang leaders break him out, and then Spider-Man, there's like this really cool cutscene where we get to see Peter Parker actually fight, and he's like a freaking ninja master. He's leaping around him like he's freaking Jackie Chan. Like he's jumping around, flipping around him gracefully. It looks so cool. And he's beating him up as Peter Parker, and you can see the ferocity of the black suit as he's like mercilessly beating these guys down. He even steps on one of them like real hard, stomps on him. And then he webs up, and then he immediately comes down with the black suit. It's the coolest. He's like in the suit now. It's the coolest freaking mission intro ever, that part at least. And then he fights the guys and beats all the people up as the gang leaders are set free by Fisk. So he's ticked. He's like, oh, Fisk made me lose control back there. I was more ferocious. I'm mad. So he goes up to Robbie at the Daily Bugle after all the stuff is said and done, and he basically asks him, hey, where's Wilson Fisk's address? And Robbie's like, dude, what the heck? Why would you want to go to Wilson Fisk's address? That's a little dangerous. And Peter's like, I want to, okay? And he's like, Peter, these shots are great. Why are you going over there, though? He's like commending him. And he gives him the address, and Spidey goes over to Fisk's penthouse, like massive penthouse suite area, and he beats the crap out of the thugs that are defending him. You just beat up all these guys until you can get to the door, and you smack this, you like web on again to the door. It's like a massive wooden door, and you just like slam into it with another quick time event. And then you go after Fisk, and Fisk just backhands you. And you fly over to the ground, like showcasing his strength, like effortlessly backhands him. And you fight him for a little bit. And he's a tough boss at first, but if you use rage mode, he's pretty easy. Like if you don't use like super moves, you just punch him in rage mode, you basically can beat him pretty easily just by using the Annihilator in rage mode. But after that, he throws Spider-Man he like smacks his head into a statue, smacks him into another statue, then into a pillar, and then throws him to the side. And then the gang leaders show up while Fisk just leaves. And he's like, well, sorry, buddy. You're not tough enough to fight me. And, you have to beat the gang leaders again. They're pretty easy. Just use rage mode and hit right bumper and A at the same time, and you'll just win the fight super easily. When I first played, I was too dumb to learn the moves as a kid. Seriously, learn a couple of the moves. Even learning just like 4 moves is enough to win the game and like easily destroy the bosses. They're not that hard, people. I'm sorry. They're not. You're just making them difficult. Okay, you're sounding like games journalists with you having difficulties with this. But basically, essentially, at this point in the story, finally, we get to face Wilson Fisk, the Kingpin, because this has been a massive arc that's been going on. They had to have the gang leaders, and the gang leaders were all building up to, hey, they were building up to Kingpin, which I think is really cool. You get this arc of, small-time crooks. You start out with, like, just the low-level thugs committing, crimes like stealing statues or knocking out power grids or stealing teddy bears. Like, they're very small levels of crime. Like, obviously they're trying to kill people too, but it's like small-time crimes. But then you finally fight the bosses, and then you figure out their real plans, and you stop those. And then finally you get to the big man himself, Kingpin. Not Tombstone. Yes, Tombstone's the big man. Not in this universe, though. But finally, we have our last fight, knocking through another door, webbing again. And Kingpin does the little backhand thing. I think this is when he actually did the backhand thing to Spider-Man. Spider-Man gets up, dusts himself off, and he just looks at he stares at Kingpin, and I think he does, like, come on, come get me. And then you fight Kingpin again. Classical music is playing in the background. It suits his personality perfectly. I loved it. And you're just beating him up in his office, and you can actually see there's a lot of details in this game you don't get to appreciate and see because you're fighting a boss. But if you use Raimi Hook, you can teleport to the interiors before the boss fights start and just look around. And my gosh, they modeled a lot of interiors for this game and gave it so much detail, so much more life than Spider-Man 2. But regardless, you give the best QuickTime event in the entire game starts after you beat this Kingpin. You just get him on the ground, and you're just beating him down on the ground as he's on the ground, and you're punching him repeatedly. It's based off of a move called Beatdown, which is the other funnest move to use, where you hit like XXX and Y, and then you just get on the ground and you're like punching him repeatedly. So you're doing that for Kingpin, and you have to not miss or he'll throw you back and you'll have to keep fighting him. But once you're done giving him a massive beatdown, repeatedly hitting him in the face while he's on the ground, you throw him through a window. And Spider-Man thinks he killed him, and he's gone. Clearly there was a sequel that was intended, like in Spider-Man 4 they might have wrapped it up. But clearly they were planning on using Kingpin again, which, honestly, bravo, freaking Activision and Treyarch. I'll give you credit. Activision in the past was awesome. I love the stuff they did, the CODs they did, the license game they did. Like, they were amazing. And finally, we get to the dinner date with Mary Jane, where he insults her to her face and stuff. He doesn't hit her, though, which is great. Honestly, thanks. Thank you for not having that in the game. That was way too over the top. I was not a fan of that. I liked, but this I liked. I didn't like that he was a jerk. His lines get a little emotionless at this point. Like, when he's webbing around, he's a little bit, like, he sounds like he's gonna fall asleep. But he is douchey. And honestly, it makes sense story-wise because he's been nonstop fighting gang leaders as Spider-Man. So he might be a little tired, but he's annoyed and all this stuff. And finally, she gives him the, hey, why are you acting like this? And he's like, okay, I got to get this suit off. He finally gets it off, and we lose the power that we had. Not forever, though, folks. When you beat the game, you can replay the whole thing, New Game Plus style, as black-suited Spider-Man. Amazing choice. Oh, my gosh. So good. But we get Scorpion. Our boy Scorpion finally comes back. We can finally wrap up his part of the story. So we break back into Mecha Biocons. they have this like island underwater thing, and we're going underwater, like this underwater tunnel through the sewers, and we finally get to this like laser shield thing, and only Scorpion can go through without getting damaged. And he opens the shield up, and you go up, and Scorp's gone, basically. You don't see him. I think you fight a couple thugs with him up there, and then he runs past you, and you have to go through the facility again, and you have to avoid these lasers. It's like a sneaking mission, kind of, without stealth, though. Because stealth would have sucked. They couldn't have done it in this game. They tried to. In the first Scorpion mission, you go to the island as well, but it's called Governor's Island. It may be an actual island. But you beat up the guys, and then you fight Rhino at the end, and with Scorpion's help, it's pretty cool, because she kidnaps Scorpion's girlfriend. What's her name? I already forgot. Jessica. Her name was Jessica. It's Jessica. I'm burping so much. Why do I keep burping every episode? I should do this like after I've went to the bathroom. And anywho, what I'm saying is finally we get to this finale of this fight. Rhino straight up dies. He gets covered by a bunch of rubble. As you and Scorpion take him down in another really cool looking QuickTime event, and then a bunch of rubble falls on him, and I think he's dead. A lot of the wikis and stuff say he's dead. I don't know. Rhino's tougher than that. I think he's alive. And then he confronts Dr. Stillwell, who's actually a guy in the comics, but he's a girl. She's a girl in this. Dr. Stillwell's a girl. Stillwell, not Steelwell. I thought it was Steelwell, but it's Stillwell for some reason. He's remorseful in the comics, but the female version of him in this is totally okay with turning Scorpion into a monster. So basically, he confronts her, but then Spidey stops him from killing her because there's no justice in this world for criminals. He's too much of a goody two-shoes. And then Jessica and Scorpion go into hiding and leave, and spend the rest of their life together or something. Probably would have been shown in Spider-Man 4. I wish they could have went in a little bit deeper. He almost deserved a separate spin-off game with Tobey in it, but they don't do that. They have to do the movies. But we get to the final showdown. Well, before this, we go on a little side quest where we have to go through the creepy sewers again to help Dr. Connors look for some cures in his lab. And keep in mind, this was before Amazing Spider-Man, so a lot of the lab looks familiar, like looks very similar to that. There's like a main monitor in the middle and this chair thing. It looks very similar to Amazing Spider-Man's lizard lab. But he finds the cures, goes back down, uses the cures, and you actually see the people turn back into men, like lizard men. You help some random lady that's down there, and the music's very dramatic, and it makes sense because you're going down into like the den of the lizards. Like, this is where they were all born. This is their hive. So it is kind of Alien-esque now that I think about it. Very similar. You got cocoons and you got like nests. But he goes down there, he administers the cure, and all those guys are done. You know, Doc Connors can finally be put to rest. He wants to atone for what he did as the lizard because he's a good guy at the end of the day. He's a good guy. Finally, we get to Venom because those two story arcs are finally wrapped up. But Venom does the classic kidnap Mary Jane thing. But the reason why Sandman works with him in this is because he kidnaps Sandman's daughter and uses her as leverage to get him to fight Spider-Man. Because Sandman had no vendetta with Spider-Man. And them cutting that scene, it was like a cut scene from the movie, and it was so much better. They should have added it to the actual movie. But they cut it. Thanks, Sony. Thanks, guys. Thanks, Columbia Pictures. Poor Sam Raimi had to deal with Oh, he had to deal with so much crap for that movie, even though I love Spider-Man 3. Regardless, I think this is better than the movie, to be honest. I will say, as much as I love Spider-Man 3, I think the plot's better. You get an epic boss fight with Eddie, though, on top of the construction site. You're punching these freaking pipes to cause a massive sound. They cause an explosion sound somehow when you break them, all these pipes put together. And those cause him to, like, grab his head, and you have to basically... it's like sonic vibrations, basically, or sonic waves or whatever. And you have to beat him up as he's in that state, because he goes into rage mode like Spider-Man does, which I think is pretty cool. The fact that they remembered to put him in rage mode like the player. And you beat him up, and then Harry shows up, and you can play as Harry. You can play as New Goblin, which is cool enough. You fly around, and he goes over to help Peter. Somehow he's recovered, and he's like sitting in his chair, like he's perfectly fine. And then he goes over to the construction site. Like, you fly over to the construction site, and you do this extremely incredible boss fight with Sandman, where you're throwing frickin' pumpkin bombs at this giant version of Sandman, and you're getting this water on him to make him easier to damage. And you're just throwing pumpkin bombs at him repeatedly. And then finally you jump inside of him with a bunch of pumpkin bombs in your hands in this QuickTime event. And you just explode pumpkin bomb after pumpkin bomb after pumpkin bomb inside of him. And then you finally get to the longest QuickTime event in the game. Most difficult one by far. Harry has to get back to his flying board thing as he like dodges Sandman's massive attacks, because Sandman's in a sandstorm now that he's been weakened. So you're dodging Sandman's like trying to kill you, and you're blowing up his hands as you're dodging him. And then you finally get to the board, and then Venom clotheslines, because Harry finished off Sandman. I forgot to mention that. Those bombs finished off Sandman that blew up inside of him. So a sandstorm's left behind. And then finally, he clotheslines Harry, and Harry doesn't get killed. Harry just disappears. Nobody goes to check on him or anything. He got clotheslined in the face by Venom. But in this world, Harry can hit a building and be okay. So whether he's dead or isn't is kind of interesting. It's an interesting question. So his status is kind of up in the air. I'm assuming he's dead because, like, the PS2 version has him actually get killed. Like, straight up. Like, he has a bomb in his hand as he's about to kill Sandman, and then Venom throws him into Sandman. But in this version, he just gets smacked by Venom and disappears. So Peter gets really mad at him, I'm assuming for him hurting Harry, and then you do the final parts. Venom doesn't have health left, so you finish him off. And then you drop him on these spikes on accident because Peter's trying to save him. So Venom falls onto these spikes. He tries to hit Spider-Man with a beam. Spider-Man dodges the beam and redirects it and throws it out of the way. And then he runs up to Venom, tackles him, punches him in the face as they're falling multiple times. And then he tries to grab Eddie as he's falling, and then Eddie falls, and fortunately, he dies. And for some reason, Spider-Man's sad that he killed an evil villain. How dare he kill? The no-kill rule is stupid. I'm sorry, it's bad. In some universes, you can have characters be dead and make new villains. Okay? You can have other universes where they're alive, okay? You can do new things. Doing new things is okay, or have Carnage be a main villain or something. So at the end, him and Mary Jane hug and reconcile, and Sandman shows up with his daughter, and they basically, they kind of, he forgives Sandman, and he goes to be with his daughter. At the end, you get a final swing where Spider-Man's talking about how everything's been, like a final swing. At the end of every Raimi Spider-Man except Spider-Man 3, Spider-Man would go web swing triumphantly, and you'd see like this crazy choreography and stuff. He does it in this. It was kind of a Treyarch acknowledging, because they developed it. Treyarch of Call of Duty fame developed Spider-Man 3. It was kind of a love letter to those movies. They were like, we know the original movie ended on such a weird, a freaking weird moment where they're just like dancing with each other. Peter and MJ are slow dancing. This was a way better finale than Spider-Man 3's actual finale. I would argue in some ways all the games are in some ways a little bit better than the movies. And I really like the movies, but I think that these Spider-Man games kind of add so much more to the stuff, especially 3. 3 really knocked it out of the park with the game. And he talks about how, he can honor people by being Spider-Man. He doesn't want to give up. He's going to keep being your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man, no matter what trials, come his way, no matter what crap happens. He's still going to be a good guy. And I think that's a good message. I think at the end of the day, he has a lot of stuff we have a lot of stuff we go through, but doing the right thing it's better to do the right thing. It's better to live your life for other people. It's better to be selfless. And that's how Jesus was. And I'm going to throw him in there. You're not going to escape from it. Someday I'm going to do an episode where I talk a bit deeper about my faith. So you're going to have to deal with it. But I love that ending. It got me through college. Rewatching that ending got me through college when I was really stressed. Just seeing him say, you know what, despite all the crap that I'm going through, I'm still going to get these assignments, fight these battles. For me, it was assignments, and get them done. And he did it. And honestly, perfect ending. See, this is my problem with people. Licensed games are good, okay? There are good licensed games. Not just Battle for Bikini Bottom, not just Spider-Man 2. There's good licensed games. If you're tired of modern gaming, play a licensed game. Seriously, they're so good. They're so good. Don't listen to popular YouTubers or people like that riff on the game and crap on it constantly, because they don't know what they're talking about. They don't care. They don't have a passion for these franchises. All they care about is the almighty dollar, and it's easy to just pick on a game. And I don't think that's fair. I don't think that's fair at all. I think, to rest my case, if you like indie games, play licensed games, please. They're better than you think they are. Stop pretending they're bad. There's no track record of them being bad. Stop saying there's a problem with licensed games. There's no problem with it, okay? There's none. Just give them a chance. They're good, all right? They're good. That's all I wanted to say. God bless. God bless. Christ reigns. Have a good day, folks.